Hi everyone, I'm Sam Galhotra from University of Massachusetts Amherst. I'm going to present our work, Adaptive Rule Discovery for Labeling Text Data. This is a joint work with Behzad from Mayagüez and Wang Chu from Facebook. The work was done when all of us were at Mayagüez. Machine learning, and specifically deep learning, has revolutionized the use of AI-based systems across various domains. These techniques have shown huge improvements in various NLP tasks like information extraction, language translation, and natural language generation. One of the crucial reasons for this improved performance of such systems is the availability of large amounts of training data. The plot here shows how deep learning techniques improve with increased availability of data. However, well curated training data is not available in many applications. In this work, we ask the question, how can we cheaply generate large amounts of training data? Let us first look at an example scenario where we consider a binary classification problem. Suppose we have a corpus of chat logs between a hotel concierge and its customers, and the goal is to extract all sentences where the customers asked about directions or means of transportation. This task may be useful to understand the different types of questions customers ask and accordingly build a knowledge graph. In this case, less than 4% of the sentences talked about directions or means of transportation, and I'll refer to these sentences as positives. They are labeled with green color on this slide. Now, if you're given an unlabeled chat log, how can we solve this problem? Let us look at some of the prior techniques that can be used to solve this. There is a lot of work on using active learning and sampling-based techniques to label a small subset of the data. These techniques have shown promising results when the fraction of positives in the dataset is close to 50%. But when the fraction of positives is much smaller than that, then these techniques do not work well. Recently, there has been a lot of interest in using weak supervision to generate heuristic rules. These rules are used to generate labels for a subset of the data. The generated labels using this procedure may be noisy, and there's a lot of work on denoising these labels also. In this work, we consider a weak supervision setting to generate heuristic rules that can label sentences. Let us first go over the landscape of weak supervision techniques. Here, we present three representative weak supervision techniques: SNOOBA, Snorkel, and BabbleLab. We classify them based on two criteria. First, based on human effort required, and second, the amount of initial label data points required to initiate the pipeline. On one hand, SNOOBA does not require any human intervention to guide the search for heuristic rules, but it needs many labeled examples to initiate the pipeline. On the other hand, Snorkel and BabbleLabel require the domain expert to either write a rule or explain it in natural language. These techniques have their own limitations because they are highly dependent on the domain expert and how the domain expert explains and writes rules. In this work, we propose Darwin, which is somewhere in between. Darwin requires the user to answer just yes no questions and verify whether a rule is good or not, and it requires much fewer examples to bootstrap the pipeline. In fact, we show that it requires as low as 2 examples. To give you a high level idea, Darwin takes two inputs, an unlabeled dataset, and seed examples to initialize the pipeline. And it generates an output, a collection of rules, along with a labeled dataset. Internally, Darwin consists of four main components. The first component indexes the input corpus for efficient processing. The second component generates a small set of candidate rules and organizes them in the form of a hierarchy. The third component traverses the hierarchy to identify relevant questions to ask to the crowd worker. Based on the response from the crowd worker, the set of candidates and their scores are updated. Before understanding the different components in more detail, let us first look at the user interface of the queries, which is shown to the crowd worker. In this screenshot, we show an example yes no question that is asked to the user. This question displays the identified rule along with its description on the top left corner. It also shows a small subset of the sentences that satisfy the rule to give additional context. This user interface provides sufficient information for the crowd worker to answer the yes-no question. To test this interface, we ran a user study on directions dataset and observed that crowd workers labeled majority of the rules correctly. Identifying the best user interface is outside the scope of this work. Now let us look into the different components of the Darwin pipeline with a few examples. First is index construction. For the sake of this presentation, we'll look into the internals of Darwin, where it is only allowed to generate rules that correspond to phrases or n-grams. We'll discuss more complex rules in the paper, but we'll not go into those for the sake of this presentation. Index construction iterates over the corpus and encodes each sentence into a derivation sketch. Derivation sketch is a compact representation of different rules that can be generated for that sentence. The left diagram shows the sentence S1, where the different rules are organized in the form of a hierarchy. Using these derivation sketches, our index constructs a hierarchy of rules where each node has a count denoting the coverage of that rule. Using this index, the second component identifies a small set of candidate rules. This algorithm greedily generates candidate rules based on their coverage. The main goal of this component is to generate a small set of rules that cover different aspects of the corpus in the hope that some of the rules would capture positives. These rules are then organized in the form of a hierarchy that captures subset-superset relationships between them. For example, the sentences that contain the token best and the sentences that contain the token way are superset of the sentences that contain the phrase best way. Therefore, rules for the token best and way are supersets of the rule best way, and that is denoted by the edges in this hierarchy. Now, once we have this hierarchy traversal iterates over this hierarchy to generate an ordering of rules. To generate this ordering, we have two intuitions. First, if a rule does not capture many positives, then it is likely that even if we generalize this rule further, then it would not capture positives. For example, the phrase best dish is not going to capture positives with respect to transportation or directions. Then any generalization of this rule, say best or dish, does not capture more positives. Secondly, we notice that word embeddings capture semantic similarity between tokens, and training a deep learning based classifier on the positives that have already been identified can help us to generalize to other sentences. Using these observations, we train a classifier on the set of positives that have been identified and use it to score other rules. In this way, semantically similar rules get a high score, and it helps in discovering new rules. For example, when the training samples contained rules with the token public transport, the sentences containing tokens bus and BART got a high score. With these intuitions, we developed three techniques, namely local search, universal search, and hybrid search. The local search is built on the first intuition we have. Universal search follows the second intuition, and hybrid search adaptively chooses between the two based on dataset properties. Let us look into the local search algorithm in a little more detail. The algorithm is initialized with the input seed rule, and its parents in the hierarchy are identified as candidates because they're generalizing a good rule. Now, amongst these candidates are sorted based on their benefit. Benefit of a rule is defined as the expected gain in number of positives if that rule is queried to the user. Now, we query this highest benefit rule, and if that rule turns out to be a good rule, then it is generalized further, and accordingly the candidates are updated. If it turns out to be a bad rule, then we specialize that rule and add the specializations to the candidates. And this process continues until we have run out of the budget of the queries. Let us look at some example traversals of this algorithm. Here I showed traversals for two datasets, cause effect and directions. In the cause effect dataset, the goal is to identify sentences that capture cause effect relationship between entities. So here, the traversal started from a rule has been caused by, and it started generalizing to caused by, which is again a good rule. But when it generalized it further to rule by, it was a bad rule, and then it started specializing it. And once it specialized by, it reached triggered by. So in this way, it traversed from caused to triggered. Similarly, in directions dataset, it started from best way to get to and started generalizing and reached to get to. And then it was not able to generalize it further, and it started specializing to get to the hotel, which further reached it to the rule which contains shuttle to. However, reaching from the best way to get to shuttle required many iterations because shuttle was present far away in the hierarchy from the initial rule best way to get to. So this shows some limitations of local search because if the hierarchy is not well connected, then it will take a lot of iterations for it to identify useful rules. To deal with these limitations, we proposed universal search that captures semantic similarity between tokens irrespective of their locations in the hierarchy. Please refer to the paper for more details about these algorithms and their theoretical guarantees. Let us see how these techniques perform in practice. In this experiment, we compared the fraction of positives identified by Snuba and Darwin on varying the number of initial seed sentences. Across all settings, Darwin identifies more than 90% of the positives, while Snuba requires a large number of seed labels to do so. Now, let us look at the comparison of recall of different variations of Darwin with some other baselines. Here we show two datasets, musicians and cause effect. And we observe that Darwin identifies more than 70% of the positives for both the datasets. And the baseline does not identify more than 30% of the positive sentences. Now, by now, I've established that Darwin is able to identify positives in the dataset. Now, let us inspect the quality of classifiers that have been trained using the Darwin's output. In this plot, we compare the quality of classifiers trained using that output, along with other baselines where AL is active learning, and we show other two baselines which we came up with. And amongst the three baselines of Darwin, hybrid performs the best because because it easily adapts to dataset properties and the properties of input seed examples. In summary, we studied Darwin, an interactive system that helps to generate labels even when positives form a small fraction of the data. And it requires simple yes no answers from the crowd worker. So the domain expert does not have to go through the whole data set or write more complex rules. Thank you for listening. Please reach out if you have any questions.